This is the title of the project, Audio Description, a laboratory for the development of a new professional profile. And the title of the project actually tells you everything, because it includes the main aim of the project, which is actually to develop this professional profile. We know that audio describers do exist, but their professional work, or this figure, is not yet fully recognized in every country, and so what we want to do is to go towards that direction. Some details about the project. The project lasts 3 years, and we are now concluding our first full year of work. We have done a lot during this first year, and we've worked especially in terms of trying to manage everything internally to make the project work, meaning, internal organization, deciding how to communicate among one another, so on and so forth. We have also, of course, done a lot of research, and today you will listen to most of the, not to most, to a tiny part of the results we got, because we got very many from both activities that were carried out, and so now today we'll present part of them. The project has been financed by the European Union under this Erasmus Plus program, Key Action 2. It is a strategic partnership, and as you'll see, it involves a lot of partners, 8 to be precise. Trieste, the University of Trieste, that is to say us, me and Chris Taylor, who's not here, is the leader of the project. You've got some details there, and I will not go through them. They are not important. What is more important is our partnership, and that is what is making the project proceed so well. We are 8 partners from 7 European countries, and the people actually involved in active research are around 19. Some people come in and then they have to leave the project, but the number of people always actively working is around 20. So we are a very large team collaborating towards the same aim. The team has this peculiarity. It is made up of 2 types of partners. We've got 4 academic partners, 4 universities. They have been introduced a minute ago, so Trieste, Barcelona, UAB in particular, the University of Antwerp, and the University of Poznan. And we are the part of the partnership that is more used to do research, but that does not know much about practice. And that's why we have the other part of the partnership, the non-academic part, made up of, again, 4 bodies, basically. We've got 2 service providers. One is from the UK, Utopian Voices, and Sound Focus from the Netherlands. And then we've got the National Television of Slovenia and a charity, the Royal National Institute of the Blind. And I think the partnership is working well because our competencies are very different, and we keep on learning from one another. In particular, universities learn a lot from non-academic partners who are the core of this partnership in a certain sense. We also have a very large range of supporting partners, meaning that they have been wanting the project to start from the very beginning, from when we were drafting the project. And these people all signed letter of support to support the project, and they are mainly user associations, cultural bodies, museums, for instance, needing audio description associations, and a series of public and private service providers. And these are very important supporting partners. They are not actively working on the contents of the project, but they are very relevant and essential for dissemination, to give us feedback on what we do, for instance, and especially to reach out to the blind end users and to professionals, because these are the categories of people that can help us the most in our research, in our testings, and whenever we need feedback from, as you see, end users and people who draft audio descriptions. And these are also very important institutions when we need to be evaluated from the outside, because we've got a very complex methodology for internal evaluation that enables us to try to do things in the best way, but of course we also need outsiders to see what we do and tell us if we are going in the right direction. Now, about the project, ADLAB PRO is actually the natural continuation of a previous project we had on audio description named ADLAB. It ended a couple of years ago, and ADLAB in a certain way set the basis for this new project, because when we worked together in ADLAB, the partnership was very, very similar, same universities, and some providers were different, but the partnership was similar. Enabled us in the very end to create this set of European, I wouldn't call them guidelines, in fact they are called strategic recommendations for audio describers, and that's been the basis, the starting point to think about ADLAB. We had the guidelines, but we do not really have training materials to teach these guidelines to prospective audio describers, and in fact that's the very aim of the project, okay? Creating training material, creating a very specific type of material though, because there are books, there are guidelines, but what we would like to achieve is a set of modules, a set of flexible, open access, free of course, materials that people can use to get training and become audio describers, both in an academic setting but also in a professional context if necessary. And the course is meant to be either a full course, so I don't know anything about audio description, but I'm an audiovisual translator, so I start from the first unit and study throughout the whole course and become more expert in audio description. Or if I am an audio describer and say specialize in museum audio description but need to audio describe opera for a while, I can just pick the modules dealing with that specific content and use those modules. So flexible means this, it can be used, you know, in its full form or in its bits, because every single module is supposed to be designed to be independent and to provide content independently from the other modules. This will enable working audio describers to refresh their knowledge, to specialize in different contexts from their own specialization. But we hope that creating this material will also help stabilize and officialize in a way the figure of the audio describer as a professional figure, because as I said at the very beginning, that's not yet the way things work, at least in some countries. Now, how is the project structured? Basically, it all revolves around very precise and very well structured activities that we had to think of while we were drafting the project. These are working activities named intellectual outputs. That's just a terminological, European terminological thing, to be accomplished over a precise time frame. Each intellectual output, we have 6 in the project, It is coordinated by a partner, okay? So as you can see, the first intellectual output was coordinated by Poland. We coordinated the second, so on and so forth with the others. So we have a leader that tells us what to do, and we contribute as partners to the output and create what we need to create. And in particular, you can now see a very short description of these outputs, and I'll describe them for you. Basically, our first activity, project activity, was focusing on trying to get a picture of the European situation in terms of best practices and training. And that is what Ivona and Agnieszka have been working on. And you'll hear about results in a second. Knowing what we have in Europe was the basis to start then our second intellectual output that was instead aimed at defining the competencies that are needed to become a good audio describer. You'll hear about that today later on, because we completed the second output as well. And our data are the basis for the third intellectual output, which has the aim of producing a curriculum, a course, of designing a course, a possible course with all these modules, and of thinking of how to use and deal with these modules. Once we do that, the results of IO3 will be the basis for creating actually the materials, the course, the videos, whatever we will create. We don't know yet because it's a bit early to know that. But the idea is to have a very varied set of materials. So not just videos, not just seminars, but a mixture of everything. Then we've got another very important output, which is intellectual output number 5. This is an output on testing and evaluation, internal evaluation of the way we work, evaluation of what we are producing in terms of research, and it will be essential to evaluate internally, at least, the products, the training material that we will produce. And then we've got a last intellectual output that will enable us, while we create the materials, to attribute ECTS or ECV ETS to materials, which will enable us to basically use the material in different countries and know how many credits each module has, and so to know where it can be used, and that's about it. The project is also an advisory board of external experts. We need them very much. A couple are here, Agnieszka and Bernd, and I thank them very much. They are crucial because, again, evaluation, I've mentioned this word many times in this few minutes, but it's very important. We need to know whether we are doing fine, and the advisory board is there to tell us so, and to guide us. And how can they guide us? Actually, because the advisory board itself is a mixed board. Again, we've got professionals, we've got academics, and so we can gain their perspective and perspectives from very different realms. It was very quick, but that's it in a way. Where are we now? We completed the first 2 outputs. That's why we are here today, and you'll hear part of the results. IO3 is now ongoing because it's time to start thinking about the course design, and we have a website where you can go through what I said more quietly if you wish, and where you can be updated on what we produce. In fact, we upload on the website always a selected set of materials that we produce, publications, reports of our outputs, bits of what we do during the multiplier events, and so that's the place that you can go if you want to know more about the project. This is a slide just to anticipate that we will have another multiplier event just like this one, but on different topics, in Antwerp and then again in Barcelona and two there, and in Ljubljana during our last project year. We are also organizing local internal dissemination events. We are planning to organize one in Trieste, hopefully by the end of the year, and each partner does the same in their own universities. That's about it, so that now I can leave the floor to the colleagues who can tell you more about IO1, which has been, according to me, very, very fruitful and very, very interesting. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Elisa.